Good day fellow coin enthusiasts and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of valuable Jefferson nickels that might be hiding in plain sight in your collection or that old coin jar you've been meaning to sort through. Many collectors overlook these common-looking coins, but certain years and mint marks can turn an ordinary 5-cent piece into a treasure worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. We'll explore 5 specific years: 1957, 1977, 1994, 1998, and 1999, where certain nickels have surprised the collecting community with their unexpected value. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone who's just inherited a collection, you'll want to pay close attention to what makes these particular nickels so special. Let's start our journey with the 1957 Jefferson nickel, a coin that might look unassuming at first glance but holds some incredible surprises for collectors. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel, and by 1957, the design had been in circulation for nearly 2 decades. What makes the 1957 nickel particularly interesting is the historical context of its production. This was the height of the Cold War era, a time of economic prosperity in America, and the U.S. Mint was producing coins at an incredible rate to meet the demands of a growing economy. When identifying a valuable 1957 nickel, the key is in the mint mark and striking characteristics. While most 1957 nickels are common and worth only face value to a slight premium, the true gem lies with the 1957 D nickel with full steps details. The full steps designation refers to the complete, unbroken steps on Monticello, Jefferson's home, on the reverse of the coin. Due to the striking process at the Denver Mint that year, achieving full steps was exceptionally difficult, making these coins quite rare. You'll need a magnifying glass to properly examine the steps, which should show at least 5 complete, distinct lines without any weakness or blending. In today's market, a typical circulated 1957 nickel might fetch you 10 to 25 cents if you're lucky. However, a 1957 D in gem uncirculated condition with full steps can command impressive prices. Recent auction records show these coins selling for anywhere from $1,500 to over $4,000 depending on the grade and quality of the full steps. The record for a 1957 D full steps nickel stands at an astounding $8,812 for a PCGS MS67FS example that sold in 2019. Even in lower grades with full steps, these coins regularly bring several $100s. What makes the 1957 nickel particularly fascinating is the story of its production. The Denver Mint was struggling with die quality that year, leading to many weakly struck coins. The Mint was more focused on quantity than quality, trying to meet the high demand for coinage in the booming post-war economy. This means that finding a well-struck example with full steps is like finding a needle in a haystack. Some collectors have spent years searching through rolls and collections hoping to find just one example in top condition. The value of a 1957 nickel varies dramatically based on condition. A circulated example with visible wear might only be worth 10 to 50 cents. An uncirculated example without full steps might bring $5 to $20. But once you have full steps present, the value skyrockets. A full steps example graded MS63 might fetch $300 to $500, while an MS65 could bring $1,000 to $1,500. The absolute finest known examples in MS67 or better with full steps are the ones that command those 4-figure prices we mentioned earlier. The difference between a nickel worth 5 cents and one worth thousands comes down to those tiny details on Monticello's steps and the overall preservation of the coin. Now let's fast forward 2 decades to the 1977 Jefferson nickel, a coin that represents a completely different kind of rarity compared to our 1957 example. While the 1957 D's value came from exceptional striking quality, the 1977 nickel's significance stems from a fascinating and highly sought-after mint era. The mid-1970s were a period of transition for American coinage, with the mint experimenting with different compositions and production methods. By 1977, the Jefferson nickel design had remained largely unchanged for nearly 40 years, making it a familiar fixture in everyday commerce. However, lurking within the proof sets produced that year was an error that would capture the attention of collectors for decades to come. The key to identifying the valuable 1977 nickel lies not in circulation strikes, but specifically in proof coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets, struck multiple times to create sharp details and mirror-like fields. These are sold directly to collectors in annual proof sets, not released into circulation. Normally, proof coins minted at the San Francisco Mint bear a distinctive S mint mark just below Monticello on the reverse. But in 1977, a small number of proof nickels were mistakenly struck without any mint mark at all. This no S proof nickel is the holy grail for collectors of this series. The error occurred when a die intended for circulation strikes, which lack mint marks for Philadelphia coins, was accidentally used in the proof press at San Francisco. The result is a coin with the sharp, mirror-like finish of a proof but missing the crucial S identifier. The market value for the 1977 no S proof nickel is staggering, especially considering its recent vintage. While a regular 1977 proof nickel with the S mint mark might be worth just a few dollars over its original issue price, the no S variety is a different story entirely. The current market sees these error coins regularly selling for $15,000 to $25,000 in top grades. The record auction price stands at an incredible $22,325 for a PCGS PR65 example sold in 2021. Even in lower proof grades, these coins consistently command five-figure prices. What makes this particularly remarkable is that these coins were sold in proof sets that originally cost just $9, a return on investment that would make any collector's head spin. The story behind the 1977 no S proof nickel adds to its allure. How did such a significant error slip through the mint's quality control? The prevailing theory is that during the die preparation process, a die meant for Philadelphia circulation strikes, which had no mint mark, was accidentally polished and finished for proof production at San Francisco. Given the high volume of proof sets produced that year, over 3.3 million, it's amazing that only a handful of these error coins exist. Estimates suggest fewer than 20 genuine examples have been confirmed, making it one of the rarest modern U.S. coins. Collectors who discovered this error in their proof sets back in the late 1970s likely had no idea they were holding a small fortune in their hands. Condition plays a critical role in the value of the 1977 no S nickel, but in a different way than circulation coins. Since these are proof coins, they were never intended for circulation and should theoretically be in perfect condition. However, handling, storage, and environmental factors can affect them. The most valuable examples exhibit deep cameo contrast, frosty devices against mirror-like fields, and are free of any marks, spots, or toning. A PR65 deep cameo example represents the sweet spot of quality and value. Lower grades like PR63 might still bring $10,000 to $15,000, while anything below PR60 drops significantly to perhaps $5,000 to $8,000. The difference between a PR65 and PR67 can be tens of thousands of dollars, with the finest known examples potentially approaching $30,000 or more if they ever appear at auction. For collectors, finding a genuine 1977 no S proof nickel is like discovering a needle in a haystack, a modern mint error that has become one of the most desirable Jefferson nickels ever produced. Moving forward to 1994, we encounter a Jefferson nickel whose value stems not from a missing mint mark or exceptional strike, but from a dramatic and visually striking die crack that captured the imagination of collectors. The early 1990s were a period of relative stability for U.S. coinage production. The mint had refined its processes significantly since the mid-20th century, and quality control was generally high. Jefferson nickels were being produced in massive quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, primarily for circulation. Most 1994 nickels are common and worth little more than face value. However, a small number of coins struck at the Philadelphia mint that year exhibit a spectacular die crack on the reverse that transforms an ordinary nickel into a highly sought-after variety. Identifying the valuable 1994 nickel requires focusing on the reverse, specifically the area around the eagle's head and beak. The key feature is a prominent die crack that extends from the eagle's beak, across its neck, and continues all the way to the rim of the coin. This crack gives the distinct appearance that the eagle is spitting a line of metal, earning it the popular nickname, spitting eagle. This isn't a subtle doubling or a minor flaw, it's a bold, dramatic crack that's easily visible to the naked eye, especially on uncirculated examples. The crack occurs because the die used to strike these coins developed a fissure during the production process. As the die continued to be used, metal would flow into this crack during striking, transferring the raised line onto the coins. Finding a 1994 nickel with this specific, dramatic crack pattern is the key to its value. The market value for the 1994 Spitting Eagle nickel has climbed steadily as collectors have recognized its uniqueness and scarcity. While a typical circulated 1994 P nickel is worth maybe 25 cents, an example exhibiting the full Spitting Eagle die crack in mint state condition is a different proposition entirely. Recent auction activity shows these coins regularly selling for $1,000 to $2,500, depending heavily on grade and the prominence of the die crack. The record price stands at an impressive $2,880 for a PCGS MS66 example sold in 2022. Even in lower mint state grades like MS63 or MS64, these coins consistently bring several $100s. The value is driven by the coin's visual appeal and the fact that the die crack is so dramatic and specific. It's not just any die crack, but one that creates a memorable image on a familiar coin. The story behind the Spitting Eagle variety adds to its charm. Unlike the carefully planned proof coins, this variety emerged unexpectedly during high-volume circulation production. Die cracks are relatively common in coinage, but they are usually minor flaws that don't significantly impact value. What makes the 1994 Spitting Eagle special is the sheer size and location of the crack, creating an almost artistic effect on the design. Collectors who discovered this variety in circulation or through roll searching in the mid to late 1990s were initially unsure if it was a one-off fluke or a consistent variety. As more examples surfaced, it became clear this was a distinct die state that occurred on a limited number of coins before the die inevitably failed and was replaced. The nickname, Spitting Eagle, perfectly captures the visual impact and stuck within the collecting community. Condition is absolutely paramount for the 1994 Spitting Eagle nickel. In circulated grades, even with the die crack present, the value plummets. The details become worn, and the dramatic effect of the crack is lost. A circulated example might only bring $20 to $50, primarily as a curiosity. The true value lies in mint state examples where the crack is sharp, the coin's surfaces are pristine, and the overall eye appeal is high. In MS60 to MS62, values might range from $200 to $500. As you climb the grading scale, the value increases significantly. An MS63 or MS64 could fetch $600 to $1,000, while MS65 examples command $1,200 to $1,800. The finest known examples in MS66 or better, like the record-setting coin, are the ones that break the $2,000 barrier and beyond. The difference between a nickel worth 5 cents and one worth thousands here comes down to preserving the dramatic die crack on a coin that otherwise looks brand new, a perfect storm of error and preservation that makes the 1994 Spitting Eagle a standout in the Jefferson series. Now we turn our attention to 1998, a year that produced a Jefferson nickel rarity of a completely different nature, not an error or a striking anomaly, but a deliberately created, low-mintage collector piece that flew under many radars for years. By 1998, the U.S. Mint was actively producing commemorative coins and special sets to appeal to collectors. One such set was the Botanic Garden Commemorative Coin and Currency Set, celebrating the U.S. Botanic Gardens restoration in Washington, D.C. This set included a special 1998 Jefferson nickel, but not the standard proof nickel found in the regular annual proof sets. Instead, the Mint produced a unique matte proof version specifically for this set. This wasn't a mistake, it was an intentional variation, but with an extremely limited mintage that has made it highly sought after today. Identifying the valuable 1998 nickel requires knowing what you're looking for, as it won't be found in pocket change. The key is the distinctive matte-proof finish. Unlike the brilliant, mirror-like fields of a standard proof coin, the 1998 matte-proof nickel has a soft, satiny, almost grainy texture across both the obverse and reverse. Jefferson's hair and the details of Monticello lack the intense frosting seen on regular proofs. Instead, they have a uniform, muted appearance. The most crucial identifier is the packaging. These nickels only came sealed inside the Botanic Garden commemorative set, which also included a Sacagawea dollar, a commemorative silver dollar, and a $1 Federal Reserve note. If you have a 1998 nickel loose or in a regular proof set holder, it's not the matte version. The matte proof itself bears the S mint mark for San Francisco, but it's the unique finish and its exclusive packaging that define its rarity. The market value for the 1998 matte-proof nickel has seen a significant rise as collectors have recognized its scarcity. While a standard 1998 S-proof nickel from the regular proof set is worth about $5, the matte-proof version is in a different league entirely. Current market values place these coins firmly in the $2,000 to $2,500 range for examples still sealed within their original Botanic Garden set packaging. The record auction price stands at an impressive $4,600 for a pristine set sold in 2021. Even if the nickel were removed from the set, though this significantly diminishes value and desirability, the coin itself would likely still command $1,500 to $2,000 if certified by a major grading service. The value is driven almost entirely by the minuscule mintage. Only 25,000 of these special sets were produced, making the matte-proof nickel one of the rarest modern Jefferson nickels by design. The story behind the 1998 matte-proof nickel is fascinating because it represents a deliberate, albeit underappreciated, mint experiment. The U.S. Botanic Garden set was one of several special issues the mint created in the late 1990s, often featuring unique finishes or packaging. The matte-proof finish was a deliberate choice to give the nickel a distinctive, almost antique look within the set. However, at the time of release, the $34 price tag for the entire set seemed steep to some collectors, and many focused on the commemorative silver dollar or the Sacagawea dollar, overlooking the nickel. It took years for the collecting community to fully grasp just how few of these matte nickels existed. Collectors who bought the set primarily for the other items and kept it sealed were later surprised to discover the nickel was the true hidden gem. This delayed recognition is a classic case of a coin's rarity being overlooked in its own time. Condition is critical for the 1998 matte-proof nickel, but primarily in terms of preservation of the original packaging and the coin's surfaces. Since these were never intended for circulation and were handled carefully at the mint, most examples are in pristine condition. The value hinges on two main factors. First, the coin must be absolutely free of spots, fingerprints, or toning. Any surface imperfection drastically reduces value. Second, and arguably more important, the coin must remain sealed within its original Botanic Garden set packaging. An open set, even if the nickel is perfect, loses significant appeal and value. A sealed set with a flawless nickel is the gold standard. Graded examples exist, typically graded PR67 or PR68, and while they confirm the coin's quality, they lack the context of the original packaging and usually sell for less than a sealed set. The difference here isn't about wear or strike quality, but about preserving the coin exactly as the mint released it, a complete, untouched time capsule from 1998 that contains one of the most deliberately rare nickels of the modern era. Our final stop brings us to 1999, a year that produced a Jefferson nickel rarity born not from a missing mint mark, special finish, or dramatic crack, but from a fascinating and visually captivating mint error known as a die clash. The late 1990s were dominated by the launch of the 50-state quarters program, a phenomenon that captured the public's imagination and drew immense attention to quarter collecting. Amidst this quarter frenzy, the humble Jefferson nickel continued its steady production, largely flying under the radar of many collectors. However, at the Philadelphia Mint that year, a small number of nickels were struck that would eventually become one of the most sought-after modern Jefferson varieties, the 1999 Wounded Eagle die clash. Identifying the valuable 1999 nickel requires examining both sides of the coin for evidence of a dramatic die clash. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet, blank coin, between them. This impact transfers elements of one die's design onto the other. On the 1999 Wounded Eagle nickel, the most prominent clash mark appears on the obverse, just below Jefferson's chin. You'll see a distinct, curved line or crescent shape. This is actually the clash mark from the top of Monticello's dome on the reverse die. On the reverse, the clash manifests as a series of faint, curved lines appearing within the eagle's chest and shield area, giving the impression the eagle has been wounded or pierced, hence the nickname. These clash marks are quite bold and distinct from normal design elements, though they can be subtle on heavily circulated examples. Finding a 1999 P nickel exhibiting these specific, dramatic clash marks is the key to its value. The market value for the 1999 Wounded Eagle die clash nickel has steadily climbed as collectors have recognized its dramatic appearance and scarcity. While a standard 1999 P nickel in circulation is worth perhaps 25 cents, an example exhibiting the full, bold Wounded Eagle die clash in mint state condition is a different story entirely. Recent auction activity shows these coins consistently selling for $3,000 to $5,000 for top-grade examples. The record auction price stands at an impressive $7,625 for a PCGS MS66 example sold in 2020. Even in lower mint state grades like MS63 or MS64, these coins regularly bring $1,000 to $2,500. The value is driven by the coin's strong visual appeal. The clash marks are immediately noticeable and create a memorable, almost artistic alteration to the familiar design. It's a dramatic error that transforms the coin's appearance entirely. The story behind the 1999 Wounded Eagle variety is one of delayed discovery. Die clashes happen occasionally in coin production, but they are usually minor and quickly corrected. The 1999 clash was particularly severe and occurred on a die that struck a significant number of coins before being replaced. However, because the state quarters were stealing the spotlight in 1999, few collectors were closely examining Jefferson nickels at the time. The variety wasn't widely recognized and cataloged until several years after the coins were minted. Collectors who were diligently searching through nickel rolls in the early 2000s, perhaps seeking something else entirely, were the ones who first noticed these strange marks. Imagine finding a coin that looks like the eagle has been struck by an arrow. It's the kind of discovery that makes a collector's heart race. The nickname, Wounded Eagle, perfectly encapsulates the visual impact and helped propel this variety into the spotlight once it was identified. Condition plays a crucial role in the value of the 1999 Wounded Eagle nickel, but with an important twist compared to our previous coins. While mint state is certainly ideal for maximum value, the dramatic nature of the die clash means it can still hold significant value in circulated grades if the clash marks remain clearly visible. In heavily worn grades, good to fine, the clash marks might be worn away or indistinct, reducing the coin to little more than curiosity value, perhaps $5 to $20. However, in extremely fine, XF, to about uncirculated, AU, grades, where the clash marks are still sharp and the coin's overall detail is strong, values can range from $50 to $200. The real jump comes in mint state. An MS60 example with bold clash might fetch $400 to $800. As grade increases, so does value. MS63 could bring $1,000 to $1,500, MS65 might command $2,000 to $3,500, and the finest MS66 examples are the ones that break the $5,000 barrier and set records. The difference here is preserving that dramatic clash evidence on a coin that otherwise shows minimal wear, a perfect example of how a production accident can create a modern rarity that captivates collectors and commands impressive prices.